Fuck! Fuck! Fuck!
Oh, you stupid motherfucker!
You're gonna find me dead! I'm gonna kill myself!
Hit the fucking guy! What the fuck is he doing?
I'm gonna be hanging from the bathroom!
They got the leg!
Don't ask me to do nothing! This is nothing!
Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Steel Here podcast, where I'm your host, Kevin Adams, alongside my partner in crime, Jerry Fragrance. We got a good one today for you guys. We got Mason Rudolph. It's a great interview. Usually when we interview these guys, you never know what to expect. You don't know how they're going to be with us. You don't know how they're going to take some of the questions. I mean, we asked him a lot of the things that you guys would want us to ask, and he's a good dude. I mean, walking away from this, I don't have a bad thing to say about Mason Rudolph. He's a good dude, man.
No, man, just an easy guy to root for, humble, respectful, great teammate. It was a great interview. I'm looking forward to you guys listening to it because Mason doesn't do anything. This is like his first or second thing he's probably ever done in his 6 years in Pittsburgh. So hope you guys enjoy.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's like, I don't really do these. He's like, but it was a good time. So, hey, like, comment, subscribe. We enjoy you guys. Appreciate the shit out of it. Make sure you subscribe to Jerry's channel. Like it. Leave us a comment. Shout out Zeds. Shout out Zeds in Southside. They hook us up.
This is a fire hat from Zeds.
It's incredible. Yeah, no, check them out, Southside. Let them know that we sent you. They're good dudes. They're hooking us up. And shout out Total Sports Enterprise for, all the guys that came into the live stream with us. You all got your stuff at this point. It's incredible merch. We're going to have more to give you guys throughout the season. So, yeah, thanks for fucking with us. We'll see you again here on the other side. It's time to welcome to the show 6'5", 6-year NFL veteran quarterback. Number 2, back in black with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Mason Rudolph. What's up, Mace? Welcome to the show.
What's up, Kevin, Jerry? Thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, Mason. I mean, my DMs to Mason go all the way back to, I want to say, 2014.
Do they really? I need to check the date on that. I thought it was like 19, but
Jerry, what the
14.
hell are you sending him in 20? He's still in college.
Oh, maybe I got it's 6 years. What's 6 years?
It's 2018. He was drafted in
2018, probably 18. When he got drafted.
My senior year in high school, Jerry. What could you possibly
I didn't
want?
know you were then. When you got drafted, I definitely messaged you, though.
Jerry's a scout. He was scouting you out in high school.
Yeah.
So, Mace, welcome back. Big week for you coming back to Pittsburgh, coming back to the Steelers. How did that all unfold?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, obviously excited to be back, be a part of this team, this roster, which is, I followed the draft obviously from afar, but wasn't really a part of the team through that period. So, I'm excited to be back, be part of the squad. I think Omar did a great job through the draft, along with Mike T and everybody in the front office. But how did this come about? I think number one, the grass isn't always greener on the other side of the tunnel, Jerry. It's a special place, and the continuity we got in the quarterback room, relationships, Mike T and his mode of operation, his charisma. I just talked to Omar and Mike T like into last week, and kind of hadn't had much communication through the free agent process, but I'm here now, and I'm fired up to be back and to be a part of the team, and it's not, God's got a plan and not always what we might think it is, but I'm happy to be back full circle and put my hand in the pile, as Coach T would say.
For sure. Yeah, Mason. From what I've seen, even on and off the field, and talking with Kenny, it seems to me that all you guys in that QB room, you, Mitch, Kenny, you guys are pretty close, man. You guys push each other, you guys root for each other. Can you speak on your relationship with those two guys?
Yeah, no, I knew I was gonna like Kenny when he was a fan of, 80s hits. We're talking like, Springsteen and I guess the Beach Boys is a little pre-80s, but he liked like 80, he liked the oldie stuff. And I'm a bit of an old soul. I feel like I'm a loner in that regard sometimes, but he liked that stuff. We all like Morgan Wallen. We all like a little country. And so the playlists are always top shelf in the quarterback room, and it kind of it kept the juice going, deep into November, December when season becomes kind of a grind. So
Yeah.
no, it's a good group of guys. Coach Sullivan does a good job of coaching us all the same. I think that's important. He's hard on everybody. There's a level of expectation, but we also have a good time. And really, really enjoyed last year, man, with Mitch and Kenny, and I think we all get along well.
Mace, what did you have when you went into, so obviously at the end of last year, I think most fans, most people that watch the Steelers and keep up with it, there was probably an expectation or the idea that, maybe Mason is going to move on. He's going to find another team to play with. When you went into free agency, what did you meet with other teams, connect with other teams, and just felt like Pittsburgh still made the most sense for you? Or it got to the final hour and you're like, all right, I'm fine with going back to Pittsburgh. Like, where was your head on that end of it?
Yeah, I think, I'm not going to name teams because I'm a part of the only team that matters now. But I had opportunities but when you look at them and I went into it. I tried to be reasonable with the expectation, knowing, hey, I've had 2 starts in the last 3 seasons.
Right.
Not a whole lot of game tape to sort of go off of. But at the same time, I'm confident about what I put on tape and have some experience but at the same time, I think, there's just so many things that are attractive about this place. And, when they reached out and let me know the door was open, I think, the continuity with the offense, knowing Matt's system, kind of coming back and picking up, without really much of a learning curve was attractive. And then, Mike T and then I think the roster that they've built, I think we got a chance to win a Super Bowl. So who wouldn't want to be a part of a team like that?
Fucking A, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, they definitely, with what they were able to do this offseason and via the draft, I mean, it seems so promising, and it's got to be exciting for everybody on the team, to get out there and compete. I know every year is always different, new group of guys, but seems like the guys they bought in free agency and draft, man, they got some players this year. I also wanted to, go all the way back to when you got drafted. Was your expectation, because when you got drafted, what I said to myself was, okay, Ben is going to play probably another year, maybe another 2, and then it's going to be Mason's team now. What was your expectation like when you got drafted? Did you say to yourself, well, hey, Ben probably only got a year and a half, 2 years left, and then this is going to be my spot?
Yeah, I mean, when I came in, I tried to just control what I could control. I had no clue, how long Seven wanted to play, and I obviously I had no clue. I wanted to come in and make a good impression and work hard, meet my teammates, learn the playbook, and then just be ready when my number was called. And I think that opportunity came year 2, but yeah, I was focused on learning the offense, getting in the building. But yeah, I mean, he was, a lot, these days, obviously Brady pushing the ceiling so high. I think at 45, guys are playing longer, so there was really no way of knowing it. I mean, shoot, I remember getting in there day 1 and just Ben's ability, his arm. It was still, I mean, he was still very, very much, from what I saw in the prime of his career, and it was just a matter of how long did he want to play. So.
Mm-hmm. And with a guy like that, and like Kevin would probably agree with me there. Like a guy that's done so much for the city of Pittsburgh and bringing Super Bowls to the city, it must be so hard for a franchise to just tell him when to stop playing football. He
Right.
kind of has to be the one to say, "Yeah, I'm done. This is it." But I could imagine that at some
Yeah.
point it was a little, I guess, frustrating a little bit. There was probably some tough times that you dealt with, but during that process, I'm sure you were eager to play and wanted to play. But I'll tell you what, man. From what I see as a fan, just a teammate with the utmost respect for the franchise, for the fan base, and it's good to see that in a player.
Right.
Well, thank you. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, tried to. That's the way I was raised, and parents. So yeah, I'm excited to be back here, man, and it's a special place, and looking forward to maybe chopping up with you guys in person sometime, grabbing a little meal. Maybe
Of
you can show
course.
me a spot, Jerry. Maybe you can show me a spot, your favorite spot in the city. Maybe something that I haven't learned in 6 years. I'd like to think I got a good idea, but I may not.
Yeah.
So,
So where's your favorite
more
spot
time.
then? What's your favorite spot in the city then?
Um, I've been over to the Strip for a while, so
Strip
you got
club?
like,
No, no.
don't try to get me in trouble with my mother. No, the Strip District. But it's funny. I mean, that's what everybody says. They're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
the Strip District. What do they do down there?"
Yeah.
But no, you got Deontay is right. You got 11's a great steakhouse, and then you're close to downtown. So, I mean, Eddie V's and Del Frisco's, being the new one, all great spots. Obviously, Permane Brothers has got a location in the Strip. Pamela's is a go-to breakfast spot. So,
Pamela's fire.
a lot of good options.
Yeah, Mace. So, looking back at it, like, do you use social media? Because you are such a private guy. I feel like we really never see you post a ton on Twitter. You don't really use Instagram a lot. Like, do you use social media from a distance? You just, you use it, but you don't really post on it, or you really don't pay attention to a lot of what people say? Because you are a polarizing character in the city of Pittsburgh. People either have a wild hot take about you on one end or a crazy hot take on the other end. So you get a ton of love, you get a lot of hate, and I'm sure you know that. Like, do you see that? Do you block it all out? How do you handle social media?
Well, I think yes, I don't post a lot, but I think social media is a great tool to stay in touch with teammates and obviously friends in general in the off season. But yeah, I think I've always tried to, like delete those apps right during the season.
Mhm.
Just because it's not healthy. I think it can be rat poison. If you're too tuned into that, and I think that's pretty common amongst the quarterback community, guys that, especially during the season, it's time for ball, and there's no reason to. You might log on there and put something out, and then you're right back off, and you're deleting the app every once in a while. But
Yeah.
no, I really, I think after the tumultuous season, up and down, the Myles Garrett situation in 19, I sort of definitely learned to stay off of social media at times, and I kind of in the midst of all that, I was like, gosh, is this going to change? Like, I think we all sometimes sort of think that social media is real life, that Twitter mentions are real life, and every time I've been out in public, and I think a lot of my teammates would agree with me. There's so much positivity. There's so many fans that are just happy to they want to talk to you, they want to take a photo, or they want to just offer their congratulations, or there's so much positivity. I think that we sometimes we get consumed with the negative,
Mhm.
and we forget that there's a lot of good people, and what people will say on Twitter nobody's usually that ballsy to say that stuff in person, which is just the nature of the beast.
Right.
It's very true. That's so true.
It's a lot easier to hate from behind the screen. I mean, Jerry and I are guilty of it too. Like, let's not act like we're fans. Like, at the end of the day, Jerry and I are fucking diehard Steelers fans. So I am sure that there were moments where I'm like, fuck, Mason, come on, you're fucking killing us. And other days, I think you're gonna win us a fucking Super Bowl. So like, it's just that's the hierarchy of being a fan. Like, it's a roller coaster ride, man. And so, but the people in Pittsburgh, they're good people. Like, we love our sports and we're just passionate about football. So I believe that when you go out in public, people aren't harassing you if you had a bad game or anything like that. I met you at Mario's the year you were drafted. You came in, it was summer. You and Chooks were in there. Like third floor, you come walking through and I'm like, that's fucking Mason Rudolph. I'm hollering Mason Rudolph. You come over, you're like, all right. So we got a photo. I have it. It's a good one. I keep it.
Pretty cool story. I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's on my Instagram.
That's hilarious. You guys send it to me.
Mason, what's your take on, hypothetically, let's say, a guy who's 29 years old, still lives in his mom's basement, but is eventually going to buy a house in the next couple months here, that likes autographs. What's your take on a guy like that?
I mean, didn't Will Ferrell in Wedding Crashers still live with his mother, who made him meatloaf? I mean,
great point.
Whoever that may be, I'm not naming any names, Jerry, but whoever that person is, they're in good company.
Because Mason, I get a lot of, and the autographs that I get from like players and memorabilia, I don't sell it. I always keep it to myself, or gonna pass it down, to my son one day. But it's something about some of these players, they don't like signing autographs for grown men, it seems.
Yeah, well, I think there's always the suspicion that it might get sold on eBay. You go to training camp and you'll see the father on the corner, like, send the 6-year-old son over with the duffel bag, and you're like watching the line of communication, like, wait, this kid isn't just, this is a business model here.
Speaking of the camp and stuff, what's your take on Latrobe? Do you love it there?
Honest about this.
I like it. I think
he doesn't like it.
It's
it's got to be tough. It's got to be tough being out there.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, we don't have it near as bad as the guys had it back in the 70s and 80s when they're doing 2-a-days. There's either no NFLPA or the NFLPA is fairly limited on sort of protecting the players physically. We got it pretty easy, man. We one practice a day. You get an off day every 4 or 5 days or so, and so grateful in that sense. But I kind of like it. It's not. I mean, I'm from South Carolina, so I grew up sort of going to Spartanburg and watching the Panthers at training camp, and I mean, the humidity there is like another world. So you're a little bit higher elevation. You're in Pennsylvania in the summer. It's worse. It might get up to 90, 85, but
right.
We've had some nice weather in the past.
You prefer when you guys were here during COVID, you practiced at Heinz. Did you prefer that versus, because obviously you get to stay, like, you're at home then, right? Like, you're not, that's a lot nicer, I'm sure.
That was sweet. I mean, it was just convenient. You were at the house and it was it was limited. It sucked not having the fans there for those 2 years of COVID, but it was just, everything's there. You got the weight room. I mean, they shipped the weights up to Latrobe. I think it was easier on the staff all the way around. And so, yeah, I mean, enjoyed that. But hey, this past year in Latrobe was fun again. It was Steelers training camp. Thankfully, there was no random players impersonating Steelers that didn't get noticed until about halfway through practice. That didn't happen. There were no security breaches, Jerry, which was awesome.
Jerry, you know what he's talking about? You know what he's hinting at? There was a guy, like a guy who was acting like Troy Polamalu. Is that what you're talking about, Mace?
Yeah.
This is a wild fucking story. That was your rookie year, right?
Rookie year. The guy, like, we're going through warm up. We're probably 20 minutes into practice. And all of a sudden, this guy starts screaming like, I want AB one-on-one. I want him right now. And we're like, this guy's got like, the helmet was legit, but everything else was
like knockoff.
sort of like Walmart brand, patched together. And
I'm gonna get you.
I mean, you can Google the pictures. There's like this hilarious picture with like Jack Hart security guys that got like a walkie-talkie, and he's got the guy right there, and the guy's like, he's caught in the act.
Oh my God, that's a crazy story. Actually, this year I actually might be doing the water.
He
at
was,
Latrobe.
Okay.
Jerry, he was acting like Paul Amalo, had his abs out like Zeke. I don't know if you can see. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how you didn't see that. That was absolutely fucking hilarious. He did. He looked. He was small though. I mean, he was literally like my size. I mean, he's a little fucking guy, and so that's hilarious because whoever that coach is or security is like standing beside him. Those are like that was viral. That was everywhere. Jerry, I don't know how you
know what's wild to me though, Kev, is like when we were there last year. Security was pretty tight. Like you couldn't really step over that white line,
right?
And they were giving me some flack because I was.
Well, that's because they got tight because this happened.
This guy was on the field, Jerry. Like he was trying to practice. This was not like a few minutes. He was there for like a fairly extended period of time.
Yeah.
Wow. Doing drills?
He was going through individual with the DBs. He was a DB.
Yeah. I don't know how you did. That's one of my favorite stories ever, actually.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about trying it this year.
Yeah. Well, I don't recommend that.
Fullback, maybe inside linebacker. It might. It could work.
Block and dummy. Mace, what's your all-time favorite Coach T story? Like something, not many people are going to know. Tell us something good.
Yeah. He's got so many of his Tomlinisms, and I've made a list actually. I've got a list on my phone, and
for real, pull it up.
Yeah, there's a few I like. We've got a good relationship, and I'm on the headsets. I was on the headset last year. I was a third string quarterback, didn't dress out, but I'm sort of trying to, listen into the play call but the whole offensive staff's going and Mike T's going and he's, at one point I think we're playing on New Year's Eve and we just score a touchdown or something great happens and he's like, man, I could be in Newport News right now with steel toe boots on. Like, look around, man. Take this in. Just enjoy this. Enjoy this moment, man. And so I was like, Newport News was still. He was like, I could be in the shipyards in Newport News with my steel-toed boots on. And I just started like dying laughing, and he starts walking back down, and I'm just like, I can't hold it together. He starts laughing too, but he's got the. You guys see his pressers. He's got the most. We don't blink. If you're a blinker, cut your eyelids off.
Mm-hmm. Paint the barn red.
Yeah. So, I've got some better ones that we'll discuss at our next Pamela's brunch that are classic, but I don't know if they're necessarily PG. But so but no, the list is ongoing.
It just seems like, just from an outside perspective, just like what better coach to play football for than Mike Tomlin? Like, just an incredible motivator. Just a guy that like just loves football. That just loves the game of football. Like for you, Mason, you gotta like. I'm sure like that would play a part in your decision as well, like possibly going somewhere else or coming back to Pittsburgh. The influence of Mike Tomlin, and what kind of guy is he like when football's not going on? What kind of guy is he? Is he like the same type of guy?
Yeah, he is. I don't think he sleeps. I don't know when he sleeps, but especially during the season, he is. He will sleep at the office a lot of times, especially if we're getting back from the road late on Sunday.
What does he have? He has a bed there?
I think he's got like a pull-out couch or a futon, but he's a grinder. But like you said, he's also ultra personable, and walking through the locker room and having very intimate conversations with guys, beyond just like, hey, good morning, how are you? You ready to go practice? I mean, it's like, hey Mason, how's the brother? How's he doing? Is he's got the acting gig going? Has he gotten any movies lately? Like how your grandparents in Winchester, Virginia? Like he's I mean
He cares.
he's sort of a social psychologist, and I think that's what makes guys want to play for him because it's not fake, it's not fraudulent. It's he cares about you, and he cares enough to ask you questions about your extended members in your family. And so guys are like, wow, this guy, this isn't a facade. He loves us.
So when people say that, playing for the Steelers is a blessing and it's the greatest franchise in the world, like that, you genuinely mean that? Like from the top down, the Rooneys, they all treat you with an insane amount of respect, across the board. You've never felt slighted by the organization in any standard.
Absolutely. No, they're transparent, which you appreciate because I know you've got friends around the league where that's not the case, and they let you know how they feel about you.
For sure.
Mason, how hard is it? Like, obviously you're a professional football player. Obviously you want to be out there every day grinding with the team and stuff like that. How hard is it as like last year, third string quarterback, headset on, not dressed? How hard is that for you? To go into a Sunday big game, division rival, and like you're not dressed. I just want to get some like clarity on it because like I always wondered, like for me, it'd be so hard for me as like in that position. Like I feel like sometimes I would just give up and just be like, fuck it, I'm not playing football ever again. Like fuck this, I'm not doing it. Like for you, how what's that feel like?
Yeah, I mean, I've been on both sides of it. Yeah, I'd be lying if I said I, didn't enjoy the side where you're dressed out, you're one play away. But, I think it's about embracing your role, whatever hand you're dealt. How can I help the team? How can I, be involved in, on the headsets in game day? Maybe there's a nugget or something. We, pick up the phone, talk to Matt in the booth. Um, but yeah, I think it's adversity too, Jared. I try to look at it like, hey man, what do you do when the going gets tough and you're not in the best situation? I think, so much of my time in Pittsburgh, so much of the adversity, I think, when you're going through it, it sucks. But I think when you look back, without a doubt, this is going to make me a better, father, husband, friend one day,
Mhm.
and also have the confidence. I mean, each week you're third string quarterbacks have played. Obviously we saw it last year, but
Yeah.
you got to stay sharp. You got to stay, mentally aware, involved with the game plan because you never know when your opportunity is going to come. And if you are down in the dumps, if you're discouraged, then you're not going to be at your best when you get your opportunity. So it's mental fortitude, and easier said than done, obviously.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you even see guys like, Geno Smith. They wrote his career off, and you look at a guy like that and, they wrote him off. Obviously, he didn't write back.
I knew you were gonna say it, you fucking
It was coming.
I started laughing initially because I knew you were doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, look at a guy like that. They said he would never play football again. Now he's thriving with Seattle. So you're right. You just never know when your number is going to be called.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm confident I can, play in this league, and I'm focused on having another great 3 weeks of OTA practices coming up, having a great training camp, and you never know what can happen, man. That's why football is such a great sport. It's why it's the most popular sport in the U.S. It's people love it, and you never know what's going to happen, and you got to be ready. So that's always been my approach.
I think the one thing that, no matter how much criticism you've ever received, because you're right. Twitter sometimes is just a fucking cesspool. Like, no doubt about it. People will hate from the loudest microphone on that app. But the one thing about, Mason, that I appreciate probably the most about everything that you've done for the Steelers is just the way that you've carried yourself. At no point did you throw mud at anyone. You didn't hang your head. You always said the right stuff, whether that's actually how you felt or not. You give the media nothing to work off of, nothing, like, oh, he said this, this guy feels slighted for that reason. I think to me, it's very easy to do that when you were in your position where obviously drafted, we thought that, it was going to be Mason Rudolph's team. And then it just doesn't break out that way. That's the NFL. And obviously you have playing in it. You fully realize that. But the fact that you've always carried yourself professional, with the utmost respect, you were courteous to everybody. I think whether you dislike Mason Rudolph or not, you can never take that away. Like, at the end of the day, you've always carried yourself exactly the way I would want to see a Pittsburgh Steeler carry himself. And for that, I mean, I'm grateful for that. No doubt about it.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. I think just the right way to be, had, like I said, had I thrown a fit, would I have been back here now? Would I have had the opportunity to come back? Probably not. So
exactly right.
I think it's just a life. It's just something that your parents teach you at a young age. Is trying to treat everybody with respect is hard. It can be tough at times because you never know how things circle back. And you're right. But I appreciate it. Thank you, Jerry. Did I read that you were a former pipe fitter? Because I got a story with that. That's in your bio online somewhere.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
So I do come from a family, Jerry. This is going to be surprising to you, of pipe fitters. Okay, Cleveland blue collar pipe fitters.
Oh,
and I was just talking to my dad because I told him I was coming on, and Dad's from Cleveland. Both of his brothers were pipe fitters, and blue collar in Cleveland. His dad was also, and so there's a respect for that's being handy with your hands. I mean, you're
of course.
you know what you're doing.
Oh yeah, man. I'll tell you what, I loved it, my job now, but I'll tell you what, a job that was grueling and really, really tough on the body, but just have so much respect for people like that who can get up at 5:30 in the morning, go to work, and not come home till 10:30 at night. You barely eat because the job needs to get done. You're rushing. You're filthy dirty. I'll tell you what, man. It's a great trade, man. It really is. Yeah. If you want to make a good living, it's a great trade. I don't regret leaving. I miss it sometimes, but now I get to do stuff like this with my favorite football team. So
Absolutely.
I think it worked out a little bit. But if anything ever goes wrong in this world, the social media world that I'm in now, I still got my union book, so I could open that right back up really quick and keep going.
Yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. That's what makes these cities up here, like, and then, I guess Midwest or New England, there's so many just great, hardworking people.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what, the Yinzers and Pittsburgh, there's just a lot of great hardcore fans that live through the team, and they grind their butts off, like you said, long hours. So
yeah, I was what I'm starting to realize though, there's some people we got to weed out in Pittsburgh, starting with this guy that sits in section 137, seat 5. So I always buy when I go to Steelers home games. I used to go to section 137, seat 4. And there's this guy in 137, seat 5. He's the most miserable fan there is. And he sits there all game. He doesn't stand up once. And he sits there like this. And last year I turned to him, and there's no emotion, whether it's a Steelers touchdown, interception, we get a pick 6. He doesn't get out of his chair. And last year I turned to him and I went like this. I said, Why do you even come to the games if you're going to sit there with your arms like this and not say a damn word? Why do you come to the games? You're taking another spot from somebody who would appreciate being here.
All right.
So we got to weed out some people, but I'll figure out a way to do that. Anyway,
We just lost a fan because of that, Jerry. Come on.
that's okay.
Sure.
Listen,
Sure. Put together a little bit. It'll be like the House Oversight Committee. Put together an oversight committee of the stadium, section by section, and like you said, weed them out. Get some fired up fans in the seats.
yeah, it's very true. I want to ask you also about Pickens. You got to see him, last year. From what I've seen in camp and what I've seen like on the football field, last year, rookie wide receiver. It does he make some guys? Because I've heard some stories, and Kenny's told me some stories about him making some like crazy athletic plays in camp. What's that like? Like when you guys see a play like that, is like everybody like, oh wow, this guy's pretty damn good.
Yes, I mean, like you said, he from the beginning he was making one-handed catches. I mean, obviously, I think about the one in Cleveland in the game, but he's
that
done
was crazy
things 10 times more impressive in practice, and so yeah, that's sort of an example of a guy it's very easily from the jump that hey, this guy's a dog, and he's got the tools.
Well, what's your relationship with like Deontay? You guys been together a while now.
Yeah, love Tay. Yeah, I mean he seeing the way he's matured, through his career, and we got a good relationship, man. We played together, and a lot in 19, and good dude, quiet dude, the family man, but he's a darn good receiver. Then he gets a lot of separation, and excited about what he's going to do for us this year.
Mace, here's a question that I think a lot of Steelers fans would like to know this answer. So you're drafted. What's your relationship like with the 7? Because obviously we hear there's a lot of things out there that maybe he's not the most personable, maybe he wasn't, trying to help you. He may have felt like this guy's coming in trying to take my job, something like that. Was he open and warm and welcoming to you, or like how does that at that point in his career, he knows he's the fucking guy. So maybe he doesn't want to help out someone that's below him. Did you feel that way at all, so that we can either put this to bed once and for all, or, was there something there you don't feel like he was maybe as approachable as you might have needed?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, I don't take it for granted. There's not a lot of young players that can come in and get to be in the presence and learn from a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Right.
So that was, he was a guy I watched, one of my favorites through high school, through college, and so in being at it for 18 years, he had a mode of operation. His preparation, he prepared sort of independently. I wouldn't say we were close, but he did his job. He had a job to do. He had a team to lead, and I get that. And there were plenty of times where where he would answer questions that I had, but there he operated independently at times with just his level of knowledge, and he didn't need to sit through every quarterback meeting with the rookies and go over day one install. He could be exempt from a lot of that kind of stuff. And so, but like I said, there's no bad blood, but yeah, we, like I said, we weren't close, but what would you expect a 37, 38-year-old guy to be best friends with a 23-year-old? Probably not. That guy's, he's got 3 kids at home, maybe more, I forget, but totally different, stages in life. And so, I think, like I said, no bad blood. I was appreciative to be around a player like that, to learn what I could, to pick up what I could, and move on down the road.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm on a mission right now, Mason. I'm on a big mission, and Kevin doesn't like my mission.
Oh
but I'm
God.
going to say it anyway. I even talked to Omar Khan about this, and he looked at me and he laughed at me. I'm on a mission to get AB back.
Ah, for fuck's sake, Jerry, we got to put this to bed already. Come on, man. He's
I mean,
playing. He's playing for his team now up in Arena Ball.
if there's one coach that can get AB right, it is Mike Tomlin.
He
And I
couldn't
can see
even keep him right. He couldn't keep him right.
kept him right for a long time, Kev. Show some respect.
I know, I do.
Yeah, can Jerry, can you put together this sort of lucrative offer that would lure him away from the rap game? I mean, he's, I don't know. He's a performer now. I mean, last I saw, he was in Miami Rolling Loud deal, and he had a huge.
He actually
people
did.
were like, I don't know if he sold it out, but he had a big.
He had a big
crowd.
Yeah, that was pretty wild, right?
And, I mean, his little dance was big. I mean, you can't take some of that shit away from him. Like, he definitely was influential, and he was an unbelievable football player. No doubt about it. The greatest wide receiver that the Pittsburgh Steelers have ever had. And that hurts my soul to say, because Heinz Ward was my guy growing up. No doubt about it. But it's just, sometimes the ego just gets too big, unfortunately, and it breaks my heart to say that. I fucking loved AB. I thought when AB was here, he could have gone down as one of the greatest football players in Steelers history had he been able to keep his head on straight. And what's funny is, Mace, so last year we're at the Lions preseason game, and we had front row tickets right beside the tunnel where you guys go down in off like the 35-yard line or something like that, right behind the bench. And Omar was one of the last ones that comes down. And Jerry says to him, he's like, Omar, did you save any money for AB? And like, people are saying shit, chirping him the whole way down the steps. And he stops and looks back at Jerry and smiles. It was fucking hysterical.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a funny video, real funny video. Nah, but
wishful thinking.
Yeah. I still think there's probably I would put the percentage at around 1%, but it is still a chance. There is still a chance.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah, it's a chance. There's a chance.
Yeah. No, I think Antonio. He was one year we were together, but what a
hard worker, people say.
What a hard worker and what a great teammate. I mean, he was.
Oh, for real?
Had a big personality, and the media loved that, and I think but was great to the rookies, was great to me. Would throw to him during special teams, was always asking to catch, and you kind of wonder what the guy, sort of coming out of high school and college, you wonder, are these legendary players, do they just wake up and they're great?
Right.
Do they just roll the ball out? But I got to see it, and this guy's work ethic was insane. He was at training camp in 18, like waking up at 4 a.m. with this trainer doing like Olympic lifts in the weight room, like power cleans and hang snatches, and we heard stories of it because like the janitor or the security guards are like, yeah, it's 4:30 and AB's in the weight room. Like, you can't take that away. As you said, Kevin, I mean, he was a 6th round pick, grinder, and just the way he worked was incredible to watch.
Can't take it from him. Like, that's the one thing I'll say. As much as, I felt like when he left and some of the things that he said and did, unforgivable for me as a Steelers fan. I just don't appreciate the things that he said and done, and, the way he went out to a city that fucking loved him. I mean, we loved that guy, but you can't take it from him. Unbelievable work ethic. And you'd see it. He would do the little finger drills. I don't know, Jerry, if you remember that. He had like a little wooden ladder, and he would like walk his fingers up this wooden ladder just to stretch out his fingers so that he could, grip the ball better. The guy was undoubtedly a hardworking, unbelievable football player. It's just, that's why it breaks my heart that it happened the way that it did.
That's probably what you did when you were getting warmed up for the pipe fitting, right? With the fingers. That was your dynamic finger warm up.
Yeah, me and AB must have a lot in common. Who's your favorite teammate, you would say? If you had to pick one, who would it be?
Like all time or
all time. We can go all time. We'll go all time.
I think, and this may not surprise you, but I came in a young buck on the block in the locker room Ramon Foster, Marquise Pouncey, Alejandro Villanueva, David DeCastro. And I mean, there was nothing better for a young quarterback to be around, those seasoned vets who were, I mean, the argument. So I would have to say that entire offensive line they were a force, and they were so cohesive. They loved each other, and like just the crap they talked, the political, arguments. It was like nonstop, like Villanueva and Pouncey. It was just like you walk into the locker room and they're like talking about like, foreign policy or like abortion or something, and you're like, well, what about like we go to practice today? But they had it down so much that they were loose. They were talking about current events, and just, I mean, hilarious dudes.
And they would go to war too. You know why I loved that offensive line? They would go to war together. Like there were several times someone would take a cheap run at 7 or something, and those guys the entire line would be in there ready to fucking go to battle for it. And like that shit, I think that's a culture thing to me. And I think last year our line was just a little bit young and finding its footing and things like that. But I think the offensive line, the Steelers as a whole, are trending upwards. So you mentioned it at the beginning. It's easy to come back to a team like the Steelers because they have Super Bowl aspirations, and every team is going to say shit like that. Like, and you should say something like that. If you're not thinking that, you have the wrong mentality and you shouldn't be in competitive sports at all. But I genuinely do think that the Steelers are building something that is going to really start to get us into that upper echelon of football teams again. So like in your mind, are we a playoff team? Are we a championship caliber team, or are we playoff, but we still need a little bit more growth to really, catapult into that higher stratosphere?
Yeah, it's hard to speculate on, the depths of a season and the breaks and the injuries things like that you can't control. But I mean, I think if you look at the roster, I think if you look at the talent on offense and the way that the offensive line has been bolstered in the offseason, I think we know we're going to be able to run the ball better. And when you got the weapons, and then you got the defense that we do with the leaders. I mean, Cam Hayward, what is this, 12 or 13? Like
13.
I don't know how many. It's got to be one of those two. But
yep,
that guy is he's just elite. He's the heart of the defense, and so all the pieces are there. And I think, I guess fans don't want to hear that, but players is one day at a time, and I think everyone feels like, that it can be a special team, but you got to stack one good day on another.
Give us a prediction. Yeah, give us a record prediction. We got to put you on the spot. What are the Pittsburgh Steelers going in 2023?
I wouldn't think to do that. That's too much. That's too much. What you did ask, I think absolutely we're a playoff team, and once you get in the tournament, like Coach T, once you get in the tournament, anything can happen. And I'm not saying we're an underdog, because I don't think we are, but I'm not going to make a speculation. But I absolutely we have the capability to make the playoffs for sure.
Yeah, as a fan, when I and as I get older too, I start to understand more how important every little game is in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like last year, man. There was a couple games early on that we easily could have won, and we lost, and it really hurt our playoff chances. But after a loss in the Steelers locker room, what's Tomlin like? Is it like, okay, we're on to next week, or is it a really stern talking to? What's it like after a loss?
It's not. That's one of the things you appreciate. It's the world isn't ending. I mean, he frames it like he is a transparent person. He frames in a calm, voice what we did wrong, why we got beat, or what we did right. Why we won, and I mean, there's no waste of time. I mean, I think win or lose, there's obviously you want to look at the tape on a Monday, but you got to have a short memory. You got to move on to the next week quick. And I've been around coaches at all different levels who are screamers and lose their mind, and I mean, there's times for that every once in a blue moon, but even keel is, I think, the winning formula, and he emulates that well.
Mace, what's your favorite moment as a Steeler? Like all time, run through. You have one where you're like, you're gonna look back, 80-year-old man telling your grandkids like this was, the highlight of my time with the Steelers.
Well, I think when one of those couple of Monday night games in 19.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the one was a blast.
home Monday,
The Dolphins Monday night game. You really got to try
yeah,
and cook in that game. That was a
yeah.
fun night.
We came back towards the end of the first half, but playing a prime time with your family there at home under the lights it's got to be up there towards the top. So, yeah.
Well, Jerry, you got anything else?
That was great, Mason. We really appreciate, taking the time out of your day to come on with us. And give the fans something because, you're not a big social media guy.
Mm-hmm.
So people are always going to want to know what Mason's up to and what's his time like been in Pittsburgh and what's the future going to look like. So glad you were able to come on, make this happen for us and our fan base, and just appreciate, you taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down with us. I had a great time, and hopefully, we'll see you in Latrobe.
That's right. No, thank you guys for having me on, and I think it's the first time doing something like this in Pittsburgh, so it was fun, and you guys are professionals, so I appreciate it.
No, we appreciate it. Good luck, man. Wish you the best. I appreciate you taking the time out. Can't wait to see you guys here at training camp, and we'll definitely chop it up there. Jerry will keep the vibes nice and high, keep you hydrated. We'll be good to go this year.
Real quick, Mason, what's your favorite cologne?
Oh, that's a good one, Jerry. That's a new question. You might have to add that to the Rolodex.
Terrell Edmonds, dear friend, came in together, introduced me back rookie year to Aventus Creed.
Yeah.
And it's so that's really, I mean, I really don't have a deep wardrobe of colognes.
I'll get you something at camp. Don't worry. I'll bring something special.
Jerry's the cologne guy. Jerry's Jerry Fragrance.
I didn't know that. Jerry, what are you wearing right now as we speak?
Right now I'm wearing L'Immensité from Louis Vuitton. It's pretty good. I'm a big fragrance guy.
Jerry, you savant. I first gut reaction would have been you're wearing that 8-hour Uber ride, a little bit of must and sweat, but maybe the Louis Vuitton offset that.
It did. Definitely did.
We appreciate you, mate. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. Thank you again.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks.
We'll see you in camp.
Yep.
We're here. We're still here.
We are still here.